Hello, welcome to the C++ series. We will be discussing different aspects of C++ through the code examples and the different concepts and improve our knowledge on C++ and learn together. So welcome. And for this entire series, I will be using Visual Studio Code as the editor. There is no rule that you have to rely on VS Code itself to learn C++. You can choose the editor of your choice, but since VS Code is most commonly used, I would be preferring to use that for this demonstrations. And if you're on Mac, along with installing the Visual Studio, I would recommend you to install Xcode as well. That gives you the developer tools. And also, if you're on Windows, then I would recommend you to install WinGW along with Visual Studio Code. Mm, Now, if you're not aware of the WinGW or G++ or the GNU project, then I would recommend you to read through that because it's good to know, especially about how the GNU project came up and the GCC, the G++ aspects of it. So it will be a good read. So uh, make sure you are aware of these aspects as well when you're learning this. And in Visual Studio Code, I would recommend you to install these two extensions as well. That will make it easy for you to work with C++ here in Visual Studio Code. With that being said, let's start with the first ever program in C++. This will be from the perspective wherein you are very, very new to C++. You are not aware of any of the concepts here, and it will be from scratch. So let's get started with the first ever code. So whenever we are learning a new programming language, one of the common things to do is to print a simple statement or a simple string or a simple sentence into the output console and just see how it works. So that's what we are going to do in this video as well. Start with the very basics. Start with outputting a very simple sentence or a string into the terminal and just exploring how things work with C++. So what I have here is a folder. So I'm now going to go ahead and create a new file. Let's say this will be the first program, and the C++ files are having an extension named as CPP. So that's how you would want to save your file as. And with that being said, you will have a few consoles here that don't worry about that. Few outputs in the console. Let's switch to the terminal. And now, um, so the way to write a C++ program usually will have a few sections in it. Okay. The first section would be some of the header files that you might want to include. Now, what are these header files is just that there is some aspects that's already taken care for you so that you don't have to write everything from scratch. Okay, so some of the utilities you can consider that you can use from the C++. So you might want to include those and then followed by the rest of your code. But the entry point for any given program would be the main function. So we'll discuss in depth as I write the code. So just for the clarity and for our understanding, the comments in C++ is through these two forward slashes over here. So like I said, you'll have to include some header files. And then once you have included some header files, if needed, you will have to write some code. Okay, so your code goes in here. So these are the two sections usually. And for this first demonstration, the header file that we will be including is called as IOStream. So let's go ahead and include that. So this is the syntax. Whenever you want to include some header file, then it will be through this hash include and the name of the header file. Now there is a significance for these braces over here. There's another way to do that is through the uh, double quotes over here. So there is a difference, and I think we will discuss about that in a particular video. So for now, don't worry much about it. Just this is the way would to include one of the header files, and then now for anything to run, the entry point, there is always an entry point, and that will be the main function. So you can consider functions as um, a block of code, a section of code, a portion of code that does a particular task, that does a particular operation. So every single function will have a role to play in the entire program, and main is considered to be one of the entry points, I would say. So the syntax for any given function would be that you need to tell what that function is going to return, the type that the function is going to return, and some name for that particular function. So in our case, it's going to return an integer, and the name would be the main function. So this is how we tell that this is the entry point. Okay, and now for you to print out something to the output, the simple thing that you need to do is just a one line of code that you need to write, and that would be you have to tell std and then cout and some string over here that you want to print. Okay, and I think that's all. That's all you'll have to do at the moment. Um, so breaking this down further. So now what is this std? It is one of the namespaces. So in the IOStream that whatever we have included, there is a namespace. Now what exactly is a namespace? What is its significance? We will discuss in a separate video later on. Do not worry much about that. So just remember or just know that this std is one of the namespaces that you're going to utilize from the IOStream, and then you will have cout. So whenever you want to output something into the console or into the terminal, you can use cout. And whenever you want to read something from the user, say you want to read some user's input, then you will be using something called as a cin. So this out and in, you can think from the perspective of the code that you write. You want something to put it out, then you have to use cout into the terminal. And when you want to read something in your code from the user, from some user input, then it will be cin. So this is it. The only thing that we will have to do now is to put some string here. And usually when we learn a new programming language, we use the first thing that we're going to write is usually the hello world. And that's what we are going to do in this case as well. So now this is it. So a very simple C++ program with a header file included and one function and a simple string statement. Now, like I said in the beginning, when you define a function being something that has a specific role to do, some specific operations within it, we also tell what that function returns, and we have written integer here, but we are not going to return anything. And even if we don't return anything, we don't see any errors. So that's the way a main function works. You don't have to return, but um, just to avoid your confusions, let's include the return zero as well for time being. We'll discuss in depth about all these aspects in some of the later videos, but for now, this is going to be the simple C++ code that we are going to see in this particular video. So once that is done, so here's your program. So I would have to, no, I'm already there in that particular directory. So the way to run your program, so it works in two steps. Once you have your code ready and you don't see any issues with it, what you'll have to do is compile the code. And then when you compile the code, an executable will be generated, and then you need to run that executable. So it's a two-step process here. Ideally, what happens when you compile your code, it has a lot of internal steps. Maybe we'll discuss that in a separate video. For now, you can just think of it like a two steps: compile and then execute. So the way for you to compile is G++ and the name of your file, okay, which is going to be firstprogram.cpp in my case. So just hit enter, and that's it. So the moment you do that, you notice that there is a file error out that's generated, and this is going to be your executable file. So all you need to do is execute that ./a.out, and this is the way you're going to execute. Now hit enter, and there you go. There you go. So you see this additional thing here. We'll talk about that in a different video maybe, but whatever you have printed over here, hello world, you can see that being output in the terminal. Now, let's say you wanted to add few more print statements. but you don't want those print statements to be on the same line as this. So you have hello world here. You don't want something after that. You want it to come in the next line. So whenever you want the next line to be effective, what you need to do is just use again the same SCG and then use end L. So which what it basically tells is it wants you to end the line over there in that particular case. And then you can have another print statement below that. Okay. So what we're going to do is copy this and paste here, and let's print something else over here. Okay. Something like the second line. Okay, and let's save and then repeat the same steps. So every time you change your code, you have to compile it again, and then again an updated executable will be generated and you'll have to execute that. Okay, so take a look at this now. You have hello world as the first line over here, and then you have the second line that you put as whatever it's written on the second line. So this is a simple C++ program for you to get started with, and the only thing we have done here is to print few statements or few strings into the terminal. That's all. And that's it for this video. We will discuss about the rest of the aspects in the upcoming videos. If you found something is not working, if you're facing some errors, or if you have something to say, please feel free to comment in the comment section, and I will take a look at it and I will reply. Yeah, thank you so much for watching the video.